The project for this session, painting a couple of watercolor minis. The paper is Fluid 100 in their hot pressed finish. After using it for a couple of paintings and being pleased with the results, I didn't hesitate to grab it. When I say minis, I mean approximately the size of trading cards, so I ended up cutting a sheet to get the right size. 3" by 4". But first, a recent visit to Target resulted in acquiring this neato candy jar. It's styled like an old-time gumball machine, but it's better because it's in black and has a spooky eye emblem. Instead of metal, the base is ceramic. It even says 25 cents on the front. Best of all, it was only $3. Can you believe it? That meant we could grab a couple of bags of seasonal candies to fill it with. Dove's white chocolate in pumpkin pie flavor, and Werther's apple-flavored soft caramels. Producer Mike is thrilled because for a while there, I'd been eyeballing his collectible Jelly Belly machine. Hey, with as much time as I spend in the studio, convenient treat access is a must. Because no one wants to deal with a hangry artist. They're the worst. That reminds me. We were at our state fair last weekend, and I kept seeing caramel apples everywhere. Now, I love a good caramel apple, but there comes a point when the risk of losing a tooth is simply too real. Yeah, my hard fruit on a stick days are over, but Werther's got me covered with their green apple flavored soft caramels. But I'm actually more excited to try baking up some raw apple muffins. A viewer sent me the recipe, and does that not sound perfect for fall snacking? Accompanied, of course, by a mug of steaming hot coffee, which is the exact beverage I have here, because it's that kind of day. Gray and drizzly. Yeah. Now, see, when I hear that word, I instantly think of Gary Busey. You remember his ad for Amazon Fire TV. Highly memorable, right? Well, I referenced it to my 20-year-old niece, and crickets. But in her eyes, I saw the last remnants of my cool aunt card wither away in real time. On the left is a bust of Athena. I've painted statuary before. Watched the video from May 2020 titled Watercolor Statuary with Sepia, if stony expressions are your thing. I had a reference image displayed on my monitor. The actual statue is a very pretty piece with much more detail than I've included. On the right are bats in a night sky. A very simple piece with no reference picture involved. I'm not going to go deep into Greek and Roman mythology because I find it confusing and at times contradictory. So I'll just say that Athena is also called Pallas, or Pallas Athena, and Minerva. She is referred to as the goddess of wisdom and war, and one of her symbols is the owl. These subjects probably seem pretty random, but I plan to incorporate them into an upcoming project I'm calling the Creepy Collage Book. I decided that little black scrapbook I picked up at Daiso would make for a neat series of spreads revolving around the season and Halloweeny things. Not sure if I'll do voiceovers for those or leave them voiceless, which is why I'm talking about it here. The first spread is done and is devoted to Edgar Allan Poe. Since a bust of Pallas is referenced in The Raven, the Athena piece was made specifically for it. So, yeah, the fair. I've lived in Washington State for over 5 decades, but I've been to the state fair only a handful of times. This time, we made it a point to stay and watch everything light up as the sun went down. Things I ate at the fair: beef and cheese pierogi, strawberry shortcake, a corn dog, and a soft-serve ice cream cone. Hey, we were there for 6 hours. In between snacking, we enjoyed the arts and crafts exhibits, the vendors, the farm animals, and then strolling the midway to the sounds of screams and cackles. I don't normally get excited about fairs, mostly because their money sinks, but I'm glad producer Mike convinced me to go. Being an antisocial hermit is all well and good, but you gotta get out once in a while. Live for the moment. Enjoy the here and now. Plus, I was promised pierogi, so... One of the things I'm reminded of as I get older, somewhat ironically you might say, is that forgetfulness occurs more frequently. I'm not just talking about leaving the TV on. I mean like forgetting to move my right hand out of the dishwasher before slamming the door closed with my left hand, or at least trying to. Look, my finger is fine now, a day later, so obviously it wasn't a mangled mess or anything. In fact, it hurt less than the other times I've smashed that very same finger. Twice in car doors and once in a residential front door. That last one was actually the first incident and happened when I was a child. Apparently, I hadn't yet heard the "don't let the door hit you on the way out" advice. It was the worst because the nail actually came off. The fingernail, I mean. Man, that would have been crazy if the hardware had fallen off of the door frame. I mean, I drank lots of milk back then, but still, can you imagine leaving for school in the morning, then turning back? Wait, I forgot my homework. Slam! Ah, my 9-year-old finger. Then watching your house collapse. A couple of things. 1, it beats the dog ate it excuse. And 2, you'd go around all day thinking you're invincible, which has its downsides. Needless to say, I am not a fan of the phrase, "Can I get your digits?" I kinda wish I'd left these pieces as watercolor only. I'm not saying my pencil work ruined them, but considering the length of the process and the end result, it hardly seemed worth the effort. Once again, I was glad to have the colored pencil powdered blender medium on hand. Although I believe it's supposed to work best on textured paper, it softened the strokes enough on this smooth surface to please me. I'm happy to share this mini painting session, and I'm sorry you had to hear the whole finger thing. That's what happens when producer Mike isn't around for me to bounce the more questionable bits off of. Until next time, indulge in some seasonal appley treats while they're still around, because we all know that fall is fleeting, mostly because the Christmas merch has to get put out. Back off, Santa. You've already got November, December, and the first week of January. So, yeah, live for the moment and stay fallsy, my friends.